So, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, we have a crisis. We've got to take remedial and permanent steps. Get out the Band-Aids, because that's all that they're going to do. They're not going to go to the heart of our problems. They're not going to exorcise the cancer that's been eating away at us for 100 years. They're not going to do it. What it's going to take to get the global interest out of this country is going to have to come from us, because obviously it's been demonstrated to us that there are no men of courage in Washington, D.C., and that they are so compromised. They are so anti-American in their inability to speak for the Constitution that they should be literally declared enemies of the state. But what declaration is going to be made, and by whom? It's going to be you and I, ladies and gentlemen. They can read the Constitution. They can hold up for a litmus test of how many different ways these creatures, these political creatures in Washington, D.C., have done all that they could contrary to the mandates and the dictates and the law of the Constitution. They are so far past that they dare not speak. They dare not even really open up their mouths. You're seeing a lot of activity, a lot of progressive ideas taking place in Washington, D.C. And oh, aren't you really happy that all this bipartisanship is taking place? Folks, I think it's time to adopt what the founders have said about our government when it becomes ineffective and works against the American people, that body should be dissolved. And if that body is to be dissolved, then where does the governance of the people come from? It has to come from their respective states. It has to come from the states. So a message to Mr. Ron Paul. I appreciate all that you have done in service of this country, but I would make this statement, and I don't do this just off the cuff, not a flip statement, that if in fact you do not pick up the gauntlet for the race for governor of Texas, then just retire. You are not doing anything of any value or worth in the Congress of the United States. He would be the first to admit that. He has said on occasion, they refer to me as being Dr. No. And if the thinking is that there is going to be this pillar of sense, a beacon of light in Washington, D.C., and more people are going to start to adopt and agree with Ron Paul's principles, well, then you've got a long wait. So my message to Mr. Paul is, get out of the Fed. You're in Texas. We need a governor, and we need to start putting up the stop signs to the Fed. And we've got to start taking steps to govern under the Constitution. And that has to take place in our respective states, because this band of merry men and their criminals in Washington, D.C., need to be dissolved immediately. That'll do it for us today, folks. Appreciate you joining us. Be back with you tomorrow. Bob Chapman, Robbie Noel, and myself. I'm sure it'll be a lively discussion. I'm going to carry my pissosity over another day here. We'll see you tomorrow.
With recent internet